Arnold, by God, Schwarzenegger, and probably his first best movie. He's done a lot of action flicks, but Conan the Barbarian is one of the movies that you think about when you think about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he also had James Earl Jones in this movie, and he had Mako, who is phenomenal. Mako does a lot of voiceovers. You'd recognize his voice. If you've seen the movie, you probably recognize him. He does Haku and Jack, Samurai Jack. He does a lot of voices, but this was a good movie. It was probably one of my first big sword and sorcery movies. It's probably my favorite sword and sorcery type movie. It's also the first actual good epic comic book movie. People give the credit to Blade, which is the most modern original comic book movie, especially for Marvel, but that was 1998. Conan is a comic book movie also, and that's 1982. It's 16 years before that. Conan is separated. He's a barbarian, so he lives out in the wilderness with his family. He's separated from his family because he's attacked and killed by James Earl Jones's men. They're trying to find the secret of steel, which turns out to be whoever's holding it, really. That's the secret. You know, the steel is the sword is as good as whoever's holding it. His family gets killed, his father and his mother. He gets captured and he's taken to the Wheel of Pain, where he spends several years, maybe a decade, just pushing this big wheel around in circles. They never explain exactly what it does, so it probably doesn't do anything. But through the years, they show that he's pushing his wheel, and other people who are tied to this wheel, and they've got to push it in a great big circle. Other people are dying from, I guess, thirst or whatever. He actually survives, and he gets bigger and stronger and whatever. He's walking a freaking divot into the ground where he's been stepping through the years. He's just tied to a wheel and he has to walk in circles. But he's bigger and stronger now, and now he's Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger. He's all Mr. Muscle. So a guy comes and buys him. Slave trader. Takes him and decides he's going to fight him. Have him in there doing fights and stuff. And then he decides after a while, I've made money on him doing fights. He's a pretty good fighter. I think I'm going to teach him how to fight proper. So he gets samurais to teach him how to use swords, and he gets generals to teach him combat techniques and all of this kinds of great stuff. And now he's the Conan from the comic books, the sword swinging, axe yielding super lunatic. So now he's got to figure out, they release him, and he's got to figure out what he's going to do with the rest of his life. And he decides revenge. I'm going to get those dudes that killed my family. Hopefully they're still alive. Might not be, but they might be. I'm going to find them. So he gets partnered up with Subate, a Spanish dude that's playing an Asian dude, which is cool, you know, whatever. And he's a sword swinging kind of a guy. And he meets the wizard, you know, Mako, and then he meets Valeria, who is the love of his life. Essentially, Valeria, I guess, was supposed to be like Red Sonja, who in the comics is closer to the love of his life, I guess. She's as close as to him. She's closer to him than other women because he gives her a little bit of respect. Not a lot, but a little bit. He digs her. So there's that. So him and Valeria and the wizard and Subate, they decided they're going to go out and get revenge. A king pays them. They're like, look, dude, my daughter is captured. Get my daughter and I'll give you, crazy money. You'll all be kings yourselves. So they're like, okay. Turns out the people that they want to get the queen from the princess are the people who Conan was looking for. What a twist. So they're like, okay, we got your daughter, but now we're going back for revenge, man. Going back for revenge. So now they got to fight the armies of James Earl Jones. There's a lot of them. So that's the main part of the movie. They go back, they fight, big sword fights and everything. Valeria gets killed. Actually, Super Ted wasn't in the next movie, so maybe he died too. Maybe I don't remember that. But I'm pretty sure he lived. I know the wizard lived because he was in the next movie. But they go back and he finally gets his one-on-one confrontation to James Earl Jones's character. And he's like, I made you. If it wasn't for me, you'd be just some little kid. But I made your body strong. Revenge. I made you. You're taught how to use a sword and you're a great guy now. Revenge. If not for me, who would you be? I'm really your daddy. So he thinks about it. Conan does. And then he makes a larger space between this dude's head and his shoulders. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. He throws the head and he sits down and he contemplates. I've done it. It's over. Good movie, great movie. A lot of giant snakes, sword fights, fist fights. Conan punches a camel unconscious. I mean, it's got a lot of good stuff. Magic, everything you would expect to see in a sword and sorcery movie today, plus freaking Conan. So I think this is like the best sword and sorcery movie ever. I think this movie was so good. In fact, I'm going to give this movie, you know what? I would say 9 if they did it again in the modern day with the modern tech and everything we've got now, the sci-fi special effects type stuff. But I've seen it. No offense to Jason Momoa, but he goofed that movie up. Conan was supposed to be a lot more deadly than that. It's supposed to be a better movie than that. I didn't dig that movie that much. So I can't say if they redid it, but if they redid it right, maybe they'd have a 9, but I'm going to give that movie 8. 8 bags of popcorn, man, because that's what I think about that. 8 bags of popcorn. Have you seen Conan the Barbarian? Have you seen Conan the Destroyer? Which one of those Conans was your favorite one? Let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.